Hi, my name is Jeff. I'm a free and open source software enthusiast and I've been involved in multiple communities for over 15 years. Today I'm going to take you with me on a trip. No, not an acid trip, an actual trip to one of my favorite conferences where I interviewed people from all over the world so you can see what fuels their passion and dedication. This video is made for everybody out there. It should be interesting to you whether you are a software developer, an aspiring community manager, or even if you are not a technologist. If you are at least a little bit curious to hear about the social aspect on how the best software is made, then I will say,
stay a while and listen.
I might also add,
I sense a soul in search of answers.
Because if you are not already a free and open source software enthusiast, you might be asking yourself, hey, what's this open source thing I keep hearing about? What makes this type of software so special? Why do people care so much about it? Why do you people cross oceans to see others that you've met through the internet? Particularly if that means disrupting your work schedule, subjecting yourself to jet lag, and going through the painful experience of trying to sleep on an airplane in economy class because you need to be up and running the very next day. On the other hand, if you are a free and open source software developer, I trust that you will also find this video entertaining and useful, whether for yourself or to share with your friends and family. Let me start with a question for you then. Have you noticed how some projects thrive throughout the years, generate enthusiasm, and that keep attracting a great deal of talent, while some other projects either struggle to survive or are entirely controlled by corporate interests and effectively have no community representation? Have you ever wondered what an organic, genuinely successful and attractive open source technology conference event looks like? Well, not only will you see what it's like behind the scenes by watching the video I'm going to show you, if you stick around until the end, I will also give you 5 tips on how to run a successful community event. But before I move on to the exciting part with the music and the interview with the cool people, I need to provide you some context. First, I'm going to explain what free and open source software is in less than 2 minutes, I promise. And then I'm going to summarize what the GStreamer project is about in 60 seconds or less. I need to quickly explain those things because if I don't, only geeks will understand what this video is about. And I want this to be a conversation starter for everybody. If you already understand these things, but you like the way I explained them, well, feel free to share this video with your friends and family. So let's start with a couple of definitions. First, what is free and open source software? Let me try to explain this in the fastest way possible. Less than 2 minutes, guaranteed. Okay, software. To create software, you need to write code. Software is like a cooked dish, and the source code is like the recipe for that dish. You need the source code to be able to study or modify the software. Open source refers to the source code being available, like a recipe being available for the dish you are eating. Otherwise, you are at a restaurant and you have a nice dish, but you don't know how it was made. So now, what is free software? Free software in this case is not referring to the price tag, it refers to the philosophical and licensing aspect of most open source software. Free software means the software is free in terms of freedom. Freedom to study, modify, and redistribute it. So you not only have the recipe, you also have the permission to modify and redistribute it. So let's just keep 2 things in mind here. Free software is the philosophy, open source is the methodology. All free software is, by definition, open source software, but not all open source software is free software. It is possible to have software where the source code is open, but the licensing terms are restricting what you can do with it. I needed to say this to be accurate. So this topic can get much more complicated and we don't have time for a deep dive here. I'm just scratching the surface in order to make your life easier if you are not a geek. All you need to know is that this type of software makes it possible for people to collectively improve it and build new technology on top of it, in a way that always benefits the public interest. That's it. Moving on to subject number 2. Since this case study is about GStreamer, I need to take 60 seconds to explain what GStreamer is. GStreamer is a free and open source technology framework for developing multimedia software applications for Linux, Windows, macOS, and other platforms. In other words, it is a set of components that software developers can freely use to create applications that make use of audio and video without needing to write all the technology for audio and video. Software developers can focus on just building the unique parts of their software and save a lot of time and effort. Think of it basically like a set of Lego blocks. Now, if you're interested about GStreamer, check out the Wikipedia page about it. I'll leave a link in the video description down below. But otherwise, I am not going further into what GStreamer is here, because that's actually not the point of this video, and we don't have time for this. In fact, the case study here presents GStreamer, but the fundamental topic is not about GStreamer per se. It's about the social aspects of technology and how free and open source projects can be successful. You may be wondering, okay, so why are you talking about GStreamer then? Why not make it about Firefox or LibreOffice or GNOME or something like that? Well, GStreamer is an interesting case. When you look at the GStreamer website, it's not easy to have a clear idea of how successful and active this project's community is. In fact, when you just look at the website, you may think it's just 2 or 3 people in a basement working on it in their spare time. And yet, I know that's not the case. So I went to the GStreamer conference this year and decided to make a short video to give you a feel of the event and the community around the project. Presentations given at the GStreamer conference are often very deeply technical, and it's very easy to forget that this event is much more than talks aimed at software engineers. Therefore, what I did was to record everything other than the talks. I filmed about 400 shots of various things happening at the event, and I also asked a couple of attendees to talk to me on camera so that you can hear their point of views, not just mine. And so I ended up with a total of over 3 hours of footage, and I spent a few weeks editing in multiple passes to distill this into an action-packed 11-minute summary so that you can get the absolute crunchiest, most insightful and entertaining parts in a perfectly flowing storyline. So, grab a cup of coffee or hot chocolate, sit back, and make sure you have a nice pair of headphones or good speakers, because it will be worth it, I promise. Ready? Let's go. This year, the conference was happening in France. Naturally, this meant that I would have the opportunity to eat some fancy French food, so I had extra motivation to attend the event. I grabbed my suitcases, packed my gear, including a bunch of photography equipment, and headed to the airport for a predictably uncomfortable and sleepless night. I had everything with me and planned out, and as I landed, I was now ready to face the French. Particularly French transportation, which means navigating the labyrinth that is Paris-Charles de Gaulle Airport. Banning the thought of lugging 40 kilograms of equipment throughout Paris's public transit system. Finding myself among a sea of people everywhere I went. And then hoping that the trains would not be on strike. Well, I guess I was lucky, as everything went according to plan. Quelle surprise! So on the next day, I started networking at the conference. And little by little, I was able to convince a few attendees to share their experiences with you on camera. Let's hear what they had to say.
This is not the first time. You've been a couple of times to the GStreamer conference, have you?
I just realized when Wim was doing his 20 years of GStreamer talk that I have been to every GStreamer conference since the beginning. This definitely makes me feel old.
Welcome to the GStreamer conference. I understand it's your first time here.
Okay, I'm out of This is the second one I've been to. So yeah, I went, I think it was 3 years ago, they had it in Berlin. That was my first one, and then this is my second one.
I've come here almost every year since 2012, 2013 maybe.
It's the second time for me as well.
And that's the third time now.
We have started using GStreamer 6 years ago or so. We have tried coming every year or semi-regularly in any case.
It's always good to come back.
Because it's nice to kind of follow up with what's going on in the community, new developments, but principally just being able to kind of meet the developers face to face, ask them questions, or just by seeing the other talks get some ideas on how people are doing stuff.
Listening to the talks were always very interesting and very appreciable. I like the format.
It's good just to keep an awareness of how GStreamer is changing, to be informed of the new developments in the various directions that GStreamer is going.
It's the moment where you can see what is actually happening, because you just usually in the day-to-day work you just see patches coming, you see what is going on, but you don't have like the big picture, and it's the only moment where you can grasp a bit better what the big picture is in terms of where people are using GStreamer, what people are doing with it.
My team started working on GStreamer Video Analytics plugin, and so I thought it's a good idea to go and join the community and see what they work on.
People using GStreamer, I think they have another perspective, but I'm really like into developing GStreamer and making sure that it fits the needs that people have in the various industry where it's used. That's my main motivation.
The reason why I got back here is now when you have some more experience, it's also really, you don't only know the trends to see what others have done and see what's actually possible. That really opens up your imagination, what you actually can do.
Potentially, I saw it used in a coffee maker at my office the other day. We were taking a look at the screens and about and what libraries are used and licenses. That it was somewhere in there that it was using GStreamer.
So GStreamer literally makes coffee?
Yes, literally.
That's a completely new use case.
Yeah.
GStreamer has got a lot of people involved in it. The community is thriving, and people are really motivated by what they're doing. But we're all doing that remotely, each in our various companies or on our free time. And what's really great is coming to the GStreamer conference, you actually meet the people. You get to mingle, you get to interact.
It also helps form a connection that is somehow deeper than just discussing things on IRC.
Coming to the conference, then it's kind of easier to interact in the mailing list, because then you kind of have a face to put to the name. Then like the developers are not high in the pedestal and unreachable, then it's like you had chat with them about football or other stuff, and then it's just more approachable.
And the community is obviously great, but it's just when you get to see people face to face, especially the newcomers, people who've never been to the GStreamer conference or haven't actually interacted with the community, or who have been proposing patches but we don't know who they are. And then you finally get to see them, and it's great.
Last year I learned about what's trending for GStreamer with Rust, and also learned a lot about how we could set up architecture at our company. We got a lot of feedback. Last year it was only me. This year we have 4 developers attending the conference, so that's great.
Every single time I come back from the GStreamer conference, I got this, I'm going to say this power of being able, wanting to work even more on all these other aspects that we've been talking about during the conference, or ideas that came out through discussions, and it's something that we need.
It has been like 2 days with a lot of social interaction and a lot of new knowledge. It can be a bit tiring, but that's also part of coming to a conference.
That's why I'm here every year.
It can be used as a whole solution, a big solution. It also can be used for a little part of your software.
The project that I work on, we use GStreamer a lot.
You can use it like a professional tool because of their performance, the footprint, the flexibility of the build system.
Some people use enormous pipelines, with 200 elements or something like. The fact that it was used in the gravitational waves detection is quite amazing. That's a use case that we just didn't have in mind. But that shows that GStreamer really scales up well
if you use it right.
The toolkit is amazing. Like, I mean, the amount of plugins, we were discussing this, I think there is now something like more or less 1,000 plugins available. You can even do like a zip encoder with a GStreamer.
We made a makeshift video conferencing system. We actually did manage to make a working proof of concept video conferencing system on the command line.
Yeah, it's a very powerful toolkit.
I talked to people who use it in hospitals and instruments that are used in medicine, basically. All the different domains where it is used. That was surprising to me.
I think it's very important for us to have that. GStreamer is a very broad project that touches many, many areas of multimedia, basically.
I think it's a very welcoming community.
That comes across on IRC and on mailing lists. People are helpful, and that's nice when you're online and you can see it clearly translate even when you meet people in person.
I just gave a conference like 30 minutes ago, and I felt like it was like with colleagues or people who are very welcoming.
When you were presenting, it felt like home.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really fantastic.
I think it's just really the quality of interaction. Having participated in various different open source communities, there aren't so many of them that make it easy for you to participate regardless of the skill level or the knowledge level that you're at.
Look into the kind of tutorials and examples. In the beginning when we started, I don't think it was that easy to find documentation and kind of figure out what's going wrong, and I think that has improved with time. The best is kind of get into it and start trying.
I think things will naturally come. Just by developing, you end up finding, oh, it would be cool if GStreamer could be able to do this, or oh, I found this obscure bug, let me report it and try to fix it.
Trying stuff out, and then when you encounter problems, yeah, go to the community, like a mailing list or IRC or something like that.
It shouldn't be that surprising, but a lot of people have the same problems that you have yourself. A lot of people actually haven't solved that. You can actually yourself contribute with ideas about how people can solve their problems.
You don't feel stupid asking basic questions. If you do have ideas and stuff, they're listened to, they're valued.
If you are explaining well what you want to do, if you are clear with the contribution you want to bring, it's very easy to lend a batch.
It really comes down to what you're interested in. Regardless of what layer of the system you like working in, there's something for everyone if multimedia is interesting to you, effectively.
It's a very interesting project to work on, and there are so many things you can do, and we always need help, so you are very welcome to come and just ask what you can do and just look at some GitLab issues and start getting your hand dirty.
Maybe try to come up with a pet project.
Just talk to us on IRC.
And definitely attend the GStreamer conference.
Come to the GStreamer conference if you want to meet people.
We've been doing the 20 years of GStreamer, and I think we still will be around, at least the ideas, what has been driving GStreamer. Because obviously in 20 years it's not going to be the same API, it's not going to be the same system, but the ideas behind GStreamer are, I think, what make it so successful.
14 years after, we can see the result that a lot of embedded devices, a lot of solutions are using GStreamer and its flexibility.
It has a lot of demand in the market. I've heard about it being used in space research projects in the broadcast industry, touching basically everything that has anything to do with multimedia.
It's definitely not a dying project. Sometimes there's a danger with open source stuff that kind of, yeah, community loses interest and kind of slowly dies. And GStreamer seems the opposite. It just gains more and more momentum.
I see its popularity can grow because of its plugin architecture and graph-like architecture. It has a good potential to be on many systems and applications.
There's a lot of different companies. Also, there's a combination of other open source organizations. So there's some GNOME people, there's some people doing build systems, so on. It's quite cool.
The head of GStreamer is pretty well spread with this 3 companies at least, consultancy, but also 4, 5, 6 companies who can also have their word to say. We are welcoming people also to contribute. So yeah, very win-win situation with the companies and the open source community.
my company is banking on that too, because they are putting their resources to do that. So yeah, I expect it to grow really well.
The reason why there are so many companies using it in their products, why there are so many people using it in the applications, why there are so many, let's say, there's a good vibe to the GStreamer community. And I think that's what makes the success of the project. That's why we're still here, we're still around, and people are using it everywhere.
Well, there you go. As promised, here are 5 tips on how to run a successful and welcoming event for your free and open source software project. Tip number 1, have a mailing list and blog for your project to announce the event in a registration system, or at least a wiki page where people can sign up so you can plan the attendance. Number 2, your program should have no more than 2 parallel tracks, ideally only 1 track. Otherwise, people are often forced to choose from 2 interesting talks that are happening at the same time. Number 3, make sure to have multiple breaks in your schedule to allow people to socialize. The talks are not the most important aspect of a conference, and the most experienced attendees will tell you they attend just to meet people in the hallway anyway. Ideally, have some great food catering service on site and dedicated social events, if your sponsoring budget allows it. Serving lunch on site allows your attendees to stick around and mingle, and also lets you stick to the program schedule without losing 2 hours because people are scattered all over town. Number 5, corporate sponsors are helpful to help pay for the venue and the food, but don't overdo it. Don't turn this into a trade show or a corporate event unless your project only appeals to a big enterprise. The problem with events with too much weight given to corporate sponsors is that individuals tend to feel like this is a shallow event and that they are constantly being pitched something. Usually 3 to 10 sponsors is a good rule of thumb, unless you're running an event with multiple thousands attendees, in which case I don't know why you're listening to me giving you advice in this video. Now, there are obviously many more tips about running an event, but it would be too long to list them all here, so I prefer to just go over 5 of them and see what you think. Feel free to share your favorite tips in the comments down below. That's it. I hope you found this video entertaining and insightful. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and share it with the people around you. If you liked my way of explaining and documenting things, please consider subscribing and clicking the notification button for my channel. This will tell you when I post new videos. Since I favor quality over quantity and publish when time allows, you don't have to worry about getting flooded by too many videos to watch. In fact, when I publish new content, it can very easily go unnoticed, especially if it's sitting between 200 cat videos that other channels may be able to publish in the same time frame. If you want to be sure to not miss out on any of my content when I do publish content, I recommend clicking the subscribe button and clicking the notification bell. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does help find a needle in the haystack. And it is also very encouraging for me to create high quality content. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you the next time.